The cavernous throat of the colossal beast constricted around him like the cold grip of death itself. Kalen's breath hitched sharply as the immense pressure pressed inward, smothering. His hands clawed at slick, undulating walls, walls that pulsed with a strange, organic rhythm, alive and terrifying. "No, no, this can't be happening," he muttered, voice ragged, swallowed quickly by the oppressive darkness. Somewhere deep inside the living titan, the faint roar of cosmic engines thundered like a distant storm. A reminder that time was running out. Panic surged, but beneath it, an unexpected ember of resolve sparked. "I won't die here, not like this." Kalen's mind reeled, desperate to piece together the nightmare he'd stumbled into. How had he come to be swallowed whole by a planet-devouring colossus drifting in the void? Escape seemed impossible. Yet the fire inside him refused to be snuffed out. His fingers brushed against a slimy membrane, cold and slick. "Focus," Kalen whispered to himself, voice trembling but steadying. "Think, survive." The beast's internal walls contracted rhythmically, a nauseating pulse that tightened around him like a vice. His lungs burned, air scarce. He forced himself to inhale slower, deeper, trying to stave off the rising terror. In the dimmest corner of his mind, memories flickered sharp, fragmented. Scenes from another life, another time surfaced unbidden. He closed his eyes briefly, willing the darkness to shield him from the crushing reality. Kalen had not always been a man, swallowed by cosmic horror. Once he was a seasoned spacefarer, a pilot whose name whispered through the corridors of the United Earth Fleet with equal parts respect and caution. His hair had been darker then, his eyes clearer, his purpose unshaken. But loss had carved deep lines into his soul, loss that twisted ambition into obsession. He recalled the last transmission from his crew, voices tinged with worry and disbelief. Kalen, this mission, gone sideways. We're picking up anomalies near the Helios Rift. Proceed with caution. His own voice had been calm, authoritative. Understood, I'll investigate. But he knew better, he had always known better. The rift wasn't just an anomaly, it was a doorway, a trap. His comrades' faces blurred in memory. Commander Ray's the unflinching second-in-command. Doctor Leela Tan, the ship's empath and healer, and Jax, the ever-grinning engineer with a knack for diffusing tension. They'd been more than colleagues, they'd been family. Until the last mission, when everything fractured. His thoughts shifted sharply as a sudden jolt reverberated through the flesh of the Colossus. The creature groaned, a low, guttural sound that seemed to shake the very marrow of his bones. Kalen staggered, barely catching himself against the pulsating wall. "What the hell?" he swallowed hard. "Is it moving?" "No, no, the engines." That distant roar had grown louder, more frantic. Something was coming. The thought ignited a flicker of hope and dread. Maybe rescue was impossible, but maybe he could use the creature's own movements to his advantage. His fingers scrabbled frantically on the slick surface, searching for any hold, any crevice. "Come on, Kalen, you've survived worse." The words tasted hollow, but his grip tightened. Suddenly, a sharp spike of pain shot through his side, and he stumbled forward, catching a glint of something embedded in the membrane, a faintly glowing shard, humming with alien energy. Curiosity battled fear as he reached for it, fingers trembling. The shard pulsed in his palm, warm and alive, a tiny beacon in the swallowing darkness. This is no accident, Kalen realized, heart hammering. The creature, the rift, the shard, it's all connected. And I'm the key. The crushing silence inside the beast was broken by a whisper, his own voice, steadying into an internal monologue. "You're not a victim, Kalen. You're a survivor. You've clawed your way through worse than this. Remember why you came here." The memory surfaced sharply. The promise he made on the bridge of the Asterisk Odyssey, before the mission spiraled into chaos. To find the truth at all costs. His fingers curled around the shard, and a surge of energy coursed through him, a strange fusion of alien tech and human tenacity. The darkness around him seemed to pulse in time, almost as if the creature was alive with a consciousness, watching. Kalen's breath steadied. The panic was receding, replaced by a fierce determination. He spoke aloud, voice hoarse but resolute. "If I'm to survive this, I have to understand it. I have to fight." The beast's walls shifted, and Kalen moved with them, inching along the slippery surface. Every muscle screamed in protest, but he pushed forward, lungs burning, mind racing. His thoughts drifted back to the faces of his lost crew. He could almost hear Jax's mocking grin. "You're stubborn as hell, Kalen. Don't let this thing eat you alive." "Not today," Kalen whispered, a bitter smile touching his lips. Time lost meaning inside the living prison. The only markers were the rhythmic thuds of the creature's heartbeat and the persistent hum of the alien shard. Images flashed in his mind, visions of distant stars, forgotten planets, and a monstrous being that consumed worlds like a predator stalking its prey. He paused, leaning against the wall, exhausted. "How did I get here?" he asked the void, voice barely audible. The answer came in fragments. A failed exploration near the Helios Rift, the unexpected awakening of the Colossus. The frantic scramble to save his crew, but the truth was darker. He had been chasing something, pushing beyond the edge of reason and safety, and now trapped in the belly of the beast. The weight of his choices pressed down harder than the physical confines. Yet beneath the despair, a spark remained. Kalen's fingers tightened around the shard, which now glowed brighter. As if sensing his resolve, he thought of his family, distant and unreachable, faces he barely allowed himself to remember. Ghosts of a life left behind in pursuit of something greater. But here in the crushing dark, with the roar of cosmic engines echoing like a war drum, Kalen made a silent vow. He would not become another lost soul swallowed by the abyss. He would fight the darkness, unravel the mystery of the Colossus, and find a way back. The creature shifted again, and in the dim glow of the shard, Kalen caught a glimpse of a narrow fissure, an opening faint but real. Hope surged through him like electricity. "Escape," he breathed. "It's possible." With renewed purpose, he began to crawl, each movement deliberate, every breath measured. The battle for survival had just begun, and Kalen was ready to confront the nightmare head-on. The fate of worlds and his own hung in the balance. Kalen's fingers trembled as they gripped the control panel. The emergency sirens blaring their relentless warning through the cramped cockpit of the Odyssey. "No, no, not now," he muttered, voice strained, eyes darting over the rapidly deteriorating sensor readouts. The starfield outside was warping, twisting unnaturally, a grotesque dance of light and shadow that defied every law of physics he had ever known. His heart hammered against his ribs, a drumbeat of panic and raw survival instinct. "Kalen, report. What's happening on your end?" Commander Reyes' voice crackled through the comms, edged with urgency and disbelief. Kalen swallowed hard, fingers flying over the console. "I don't know. The rift's behaving like a dying star, but the gravitational readings are off the charts. Something's wrong, something S here." He swallowed again, the bitter taste of fear flooding his mouth. "I'm picking up a massive energy signature, too big to be natural. We need to abort the mission." "Negative. The artifact's close, and we can't afford to leave empty-handed." Reyes' voice was firm but laced with tension. "Proceed with caution, Kalen. Don't take unnecessary risks." Caution. The word rang hollow in Kalen's ears. He had learned too late. That caution was a luxury they didn't have. The warning signs had been there. Strange gravitational anomalies that bent space like rubber. Flickering lights on the edge of sensor arrays. An eerie silence where static should have been. He remembered Jax's last joke over comms. trying to lighten the mood despite the creeping dread. Hey, if this Colossus swallows us whole, I want dibs on the escape pod. Kalen had laughed then, but now the humor felt distant, almost cruel. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. The asterisk Odyssey groaned under a crushing force that seemed to squeeze the very metal of the hull integrity dropping, Kalen shouted, eyes wide as the artificial gravity flickered. The monstrous shape appeared on the main screen, a living beast. A world-sized entity whose form twisted through the void like a nightmare made flesh. It was the Colossus, the ancient cosmic titan that had haunted spacefarers' legends for centuries. "Report, what the hell is that?" Reyes demanded. Kalen's voice faltered. It's pulling us in. The rift was a trap. The Colossus is alive and it's hungry." The ship's alarm screamed as the beast's immense gravitational grip tightened, dragging the asterisk Odyssey helplessly into its pulsating maw. The cockpit lights flickered and dimmed. Kalen's breath came in ragged gasps. The last thing he saw before the darkness swallowed them was the terrified faces of his crew on the comm screen, static breaking their voices into desperate pleas. Inside the crushing blackness, Kalen's mind raced. Why did I ignore the signs? Why did I push so hard for this artifact? The weight of survivor's guilt pressed down like a physical weight. He remembered the faces, Reyes' steady resolve, Leela's calming presence, Jax's reckless grin. They had been more than colleagues, they were his family. And now only silence remained. His fingers scrabbled at the slimy, pulsating walls of the Colossus's interior. Slick with an alien mucus, the air was thick, hard to breathe, each inhale a battle. The low hum of cosmic engines vibrated through the living prison, echoing in his bones. A cold sweat dripped down his temple as he whispered, "Stay alive. Understand it. Turn this nightmare into your dominion." The shard embedded in the membrane pulsed, warmth bleeding into his palm. It was an ancient relic, humming with alien energy, a fragment of the artifact he'd risked everything to find. It was both his curse and his hope. His fingers closed tighter, a surge of determination flaring through him. If I can control this, maybe I can control the beast. Kalen's thoughts spiraled. He debated fleeing blindly, surrendering to the crushing void, or delving deeper into the Colossus's secrets. His survival instinct screamed to escape. But his insatiable curiosity, the very trait that had driven him into this abyss, urged him forward. "I can't just run," he muttered. "I have to understand it. I have to turn this power to my advantage." A sudden tremor shook the beast's insides. Kalen stumbled, catching himself against a membranous ridge, slick and warm. The pulse accelerated, a heartbeat not unlike his own, but ancient and vast beyond comprehension. The walls shifted around him, contracting and expanding rhythmically. The Colossus was alive, an organism of unimaginable scale and power. "Why me?" Kalen whispered, voice cracking. "Why drag me into this nightmare?" His mind flashed back to the failed mission, the moment they had first detected the artifact's signal. The heated debates on the bridge about risk versus reward. The obsession had blinded him. The promise of controlling cosmic entities, of wielding power to reshape the galaxy, had consumed him. But now, trapped within the living titan, the dream felt like a cruel joke. Suddenly, a sharp spike of pain lanced through his side. He gasped, clutching at the membrane, and noticed a faintly glowing fissure nearby. The shard's light intensified as he approached it, as if reacting to his presence. His breath caught. Could this be an escape route, or a deeper passage into the beast's core? Kalen paused, the crushing silence pressing in. He pulled himself forward, each movement a struggle. The walls throbbed around him, the pulse growing louder, almost deafening. A voice echoed in his mind, the voice of his own resolve, steady and unwavering. "You are not a victim, Kalen. You are a survivor." You have faced death before and clawed back. This is no different. He pressed the shard into the fissure. The membrane parted, revealing a narrow tunnel bathed in an eerie blue glow. The heat and pressure faded slightly, replaced by a strange calm. Kalen hesitated, then crawled inside, the walls closing behind him. Time lost all meaning as he journeyed deeper. Memories flickered, his family left behind, the faces of his lost crew. The countless missions that had brought him here. Survivor's guilt gnawed at him, but beneath it, a fierce ember of determination blazed. I will not be swallowed, he vowed silently. I will conquer this nightmare. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a vast chamber, illuminated by bioluminescent veins that pulsed with energy. At its center lay the artifact, an alien relic of impossible design, glowing with cosmic power. Kalen's breath caught. This was the prize he had sought, the key to the Colossus's power. But as he reached out, the chamber trembled violently. The Colossus was aware, watching, reacting. The walls rippled like water, and a monstrous shape coalesced from the shadows. Eyes countless, shimmering, fixed on him. The beast's voice was a thunderous roar inside his mind, demanding surrender. Kalen's heart pounded. The choice lay before him, flee and risk annihilation, or seize the artifact and wrest control from the cosmic horror. His fingers closed around the relic, energy surging through him like wildfire. I'm not your prey, he growled, voice fierce. I'm the master now. A blinding light exploded, and the chamber trembled as Kalen's struggle for dominion over the Colossus began. Battle of wills that would determine not only his fate, but the future of countless worlds. Kalen's breath hitched as the narrow tunnel twisted deeper into the Colossus's living core. The bioluminescent veins lining the walls pulsed rhythmically, casting eerie shadows that danced like restless phantoms. His heart pounded a frantic cadence against his ribs, not just from exertion, but from the weight of the revelation that had shattered everything he thought he knew. This was no mindless devourer. The Colossus was sentient, ancient, cosmic, and it harbored an agenda far beyond mere hunger. His fingers tightened around the glowing shard, its warmth a strange comfort against the cold dread curling in his gut. It's alive, he whispered, voice barely a breath, as if speaking too loudly might awaken unseen horrors. Not just alive, aware. The air thickened, a subtle vibration humming through the chamber's flesh-like walls. Kalen's mind reeled. He'd always imagined the Colossus as a monstrous predator, an instinct-driven force of destruction. But the evidence before him, complex neural-like networks interwoven with mechanical components, symbols etched in alien script that responded to his touch, and the shard itself pulsing in sync with the creature's heartbeat, suggested a consciousness, a will. His eyes darted around, searching for any sign of the creature's mind. Then, without warning, the walls rippled. From the shadows emerged a host of biomechanical guardians, hulking figures, fused from sinew and steel, their limbs ending in razor-sharp claws and energy emitters that flickered with lethal intent. Their eyes glowed a cold, steely blue, scanning Kalen like a predator sizing up prey. Shit, Kalen hissed, backing away, adrenaline surging. Not what I wanted to see. The first guardian lunged with terrifying speed, claws slicing through the air. Kalen barely rolled aside, heart slamming against his chest as he scrambled up the slick wall to evade the strike. His breath was ragged, lungs burning in the oppressive atmosphere. Stay calm, Kalen, he muttered to himself. Adapt. Survive. The creatures pressed their attack relentlessly, their movements eerily synchronized as if controlled by a hive mind. Kalen's mind raced. He couldn't outmatch them in brute strength. He had to outthink them. Grabbing a nearby tendril that pulsed with raw energy, he yanked it free. The organic cable sparked in his hand, and with a desperate swing, he lashed it at a guardian's neck. The biomechanical creature convulsed, staggering back with a hiss of electrical feedback. Kalen seized the moment, sprinting past the stunned foe. His heart hammered, not just from exertion, but from the dawning realization that the Colossus was defending itself. These guardians were not mere automated defenses. They were extensions of its will, protectors of its vast, mysterious intellect. As he pressed deeper into the labyrinth, the walls began to shift, breathing with a life of their own. Suddenly, a searing pain stabbed his mind, a vision vivid and intrusive. He saw flashes of his past, the faces of his lost crew, the echo of laughter and camaraderie, but also the terror of the mission's unraveling. Then, something darker, temptations whispered in a voice not his own, promising surrender, peace in oblivion. "Don't listen," Kalen growled aloud, clutching his head as the visions assaulted him. "I'm not giving in." But the visions morphed, revealing glimpses of cosmic truths, stars birthing and dying, galaxies swirling in endless dance, and the Colossus itself, ancient beyond reckoning. A godlike force tethered to the fate of universes. The insight was overwhelming, a torrent that threatened to shatter his sanity. Yet within it, Kalen found a flicker of understanding, a connection. Could he communicate with this entity? Could he bend its will? His fingers trembled as he reached out, pressing the glowing shard against a pulsating node embedded in the wall. The Colossus shuddered, and to his astonishment the Guardians faltered, their aggression momentarily abating. A spark of hope flared. "Maybe I can control you," Kalen whispered, heart pounding with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. "Maybe I'm not just trapped here, I'm meant to be here." But that fragile hope shattered as alarms blared, a thundering, mechanical cacophony that echoed through the living labyrinth. A distant rumble grew louder, shaking the very foundations of the Colossus's interior. Kalen's mind snapped to attention. What now? Peering through a fissure in the wall, he glimpsed an armada of sleek alien vessels emerging from the void, their forms sharp and menacing against the dark backdrop of space. They moved with deadly precision, weapons primed, intent clear: reclaim the Colossus and annihilate any intruders. "An armada," Kalen muttered, disbelief and dread flooding him. "They must be the original masters or claimants, and they want me gone." The biomechanical guardian's eyes shifted from cold blue to fiery red, their programming overridden by the incoming fleet's commands. They became far more aggressive, their attacks relentless as Kalen found himself caught between two cosmic forces, the ancient Titan's will and the alien invaders' wrath. His breath came fast, muscles screaming as he fought for every inch of ground. "I've got to move fast," he panted. "If they retake control, it's over." Dodging a swipe from a guardian's serrated limb, Kalen dove into a narrow crevice. The sound of laser blasts and explosive impacts reverberating around him. The Colossus groaned, its internal systems thrashing as if in pain or rage. He pressed the shard to a nearby console fused into the flesh, watching as the tangled mesh of organic and mechanical parts sparked to life. Data streamed before his eyes, coordinates, energy flows, system statuses. His fingers flew over the interface, attempting to override controls, to wrest some command from the Titan's vast network. "Come on," he urged, sweat stinging his eyes. "You have to listen to me." A pulse of energy surged through the Colossus, and for a moment the attackers' ships faltered, their weapons misfiring. The Guardians hesitated, giving Kalen a fleeting advantage. "Gotcha," he whispered with grim satisfaction. "I'm not just a prisoner. I'm a player." But the battle was far from over. The alien armada regrouped swiftly, their ships converging with renewed ferocity. Kalen's mind raced. He needed a plan, and fast. He slumped against the wall, breathing hard, the weight of exhaustion pressing down. Yet his spirit burned fiercely. This isn't just survival, he thought. This is war, and I'm not backing down. Suddenly, another vision struck, this time clearer, more commanding. The Colossus itself spoke, not in words, but in raw emotion and cosmic understanding. It showed him glimpses of its purpose, a guardian of balance, a living vault of forgotten knowledge. Wary of all who sought to exploit it, you seek to control me, the vision seemed to say. But control is a dance, not a chain. Kalen's eyes snapped open, realization dawning. It's not just a beast, it's a sentient force with its own will. If I want to survive, if I want to win, I have to become its partner, not its prisoner. With renewed resolve, he began to synchronize the shard's energy with the Colossus's heartbeat, weaving a fragile connection. The Guardians' attack slowed, their movements less hostile. The Armada's advance hesitated as the living Titan responded to this new dynamic. Kalen's voice was steady, commanding, "Listen to me. I'm not your enemy." In that moment, caught between ancient cosmic forces and the cold void of space, Kalen realized the true battle was not just for control, but for understanding, between man and monster, will and destiny. The path ahead was perilous, but the spark of hope burned brighter than ever. The Colossus was no longer just a prison, it was a crucible. And Kalen was ready to forge his fate within its living heart. Kalen's breath hitched violently as the cavernous maw of the Colossus shuddered around him. The alien Armada's relentless assault hammered against the Titan's massive organic hull, shaking the very marrow in his bones. He gritted his teeth, sweat stinging his eyes, as the pulsating veins of the colossal entity throbbed in sync with his pounding heart. "I don't have time for doubt," he muttered, voice harsh with determination. "Either I control this beast, or I die in its belly." The choice pressed upon him with crushing urgency. Escape seemed a fool's hope, a death sentence in the void. Yet surrender meant subjugation, a lifetime of cosmic oblivion beneath alien dominion. The internal struggle waged fiercely within him. Fear clawed at his mind, fear of failure, of being consumed utterly. But beneath that, a raw hunger surged, a desperate craving for power. Revenge against the alien oppressors, who had shattered everything he once held dear. His mind flashed to the faces of Rays, Leela, Jax, their voices echoing faintly like distant stars lost to the darkness. "I owe them more than this," he thought fiercely. "I owe myself." His hands trembled as he adjusted his grip on the glowing shard, embedded in the Colossus's pulsating wall. The alien relic thrummed with an ancient energy, alive and responsive to his will. "Come on," Kalen whispered, sweat matting his brow. "Let me in. Let me be more than prey." Around him, the living flesh of the Colossus contracted and expanded rhythmically. A titanic heartbeat that resonated through his bones. The creature was vast beyond comprehension, a cosmic behemoth of flesh and machinery intertwined. Its systems, biomechanical and alien, flickered to life at his touch, responding to the shard's signal. With a surge of ingenuity and desperation, Kalen began to weave a symbiotic link. Threading his consciousness, tentatively, through the labyrinthine neural networks that pulsed within. The connection was volatile, a tempest of sensations crashing over him, visions of starfields, swirling galaxies, and ancient wars fought across light years. His mind reeled, teetering on the edge of oblivion and omnipotence. "Steady," he breathed, teeth clenched. "This is power. Power I will wield." Suddenly, an alert blared. An intruder fleet breached the void outside. Their sleek alien vessel, swarming like predatory wolves. The Colossus groaned, its flesh rippling as if sensing the approaching threat. Kalen's eyes snapped open. "They're coming for me," he growled. For asterisk it, for this power. He knew then that the battle was no longer abstract. It was immediate, brutal, and merciless. Within the Colossus's massive maw, Kalen braced himself as the alien fleet poured in, their weapons blazing through the pulsating tissues. The hollow interior was a hellish battlefield, streaked with bursts of blue energy and searing plasma. The air was thick with the acrid scent of burning flesh and ozone. "Use its systems," Kalen commanded himself, voice sharp and commanding. "Turn its body into a weapon." His hands danced over an organic control interface, a web of tendrils and conduits that pulsed with lethal potential. With each command, sections of the Colossus's interior lit up like a living arsenal. Razor-sharp bone spines erupted from concealed vents, slicing through enemy ships. Energy beams, channeled through biomechanical cannons, tore into the alien vessels with devastating precision. Kalen felt the raw might of the Colossus surging through him, his will fused with its cosmic might. The battle swelled in intensity. Alien ships swarmed like locusts, relentless and unforgiving. Kalen's muscles burned as he dodged lethal counterattacks, energy lances that seared the organic walls mere inches from his face. The living labyrinth echoed with the thunder of explosions and the screech of tearing flesh. Yet amidst the chaos, a singular focus crystallized in his mind: the flagship commander. A towering alien warlord, clad in sleek obsidian armor that shimmered with deadly grace, emerged through the haze of battle. Their eyes locked through the swirling chaos, a clash of wills as ancient as the stars themselves. Kalen's voice was steady, biting through the cacophony. "This ends now." The duel was fierce and unrelenting. Kalen wielded the Colossus's systems like extensions of his own body, sending waves of energy surging through the living corridors, turning the creature's flesh into a battlefield and a weapon. The commander countered with ruthless precision, deploying advanced technology and cunning strategy. Plasma blades clashed against energy tendrils. Tactical maneuvers wove through the labyrinthine inner structure. The air crackled with tension, every heartbeat a razor's edge. As the duel escalated, Kalen's strength waned. The alien commander's strikes grew more precise, pushing him toward the edge of exhaustion and despair. A searing blast caught him off guard, sending him sprawling across the slick, pulsating floor. Pain lanced through his chest, breath ragged and shallow. "I can't lose," he whispered, eyes burning with defiance. "Not like this." In that crucible of desperation, a singular thought consumed him: total union. Complete surrender to the Colossus, not as a victim but as its master. "If I merge fully, I become unstoppable," he reasoned. "But I risk losing myself." The terror of erasing his humanity battled with the hunger for power, the thirst for vengeance. The choice was stark: a leap into the abyss or annihilation. His fingers closed tightly around the glowing shard, now blazing with cosmic fire. The walls around him pulsed violently, responding to his will. "I'm ready," Kalen breathed, voice resolute. "Merge with me. Let me be your master." A blinding surge of energy enveloped him as the symbiotic link deepened. His consciousness expanded, merging with the colossal entity's vast neural networks and cosmic systems. His mind bridged the gulf between man and Titan, swirling with both terror and exhilaration. He felt his sense of self blur dissolve, but beneath it a fierce core endured. "I am Kalen, I am the master now," the alien armada faltered. Their assault breaking, as the Colossus's full might erupted in a cataclysmic display. Energy tendrils erupted like cosmic lightning, tearing through enemy ships with merciless precision. The living Titan roared, a sound that echoed through the void, a declaration of dominion and power. Kalen's voice echoed within the merged consciousness, steady and commanding. "This is my domain, my war." As the last of the alien vessels crumbled into cosmic dust, silence fell over the colossal interior. The battle was won, but Kalen knew the war was far from over. He was no longer just a man trapped in a cosmic horror. He was its master, a godlike force tethered to the fate of stars. Yet beneath the triumph, a quiet question lingered. At what cost? The merging had changed him irrevocably. The line between Kalen and the Colossus blurred. Their wills intertwined in an eternal dance of power and survival. Humanity flickered like a distant star within the vastness of his new existence. But for now, in the crushing darkness of the living Titan's heart, Kalen stood victorious, ruler of a cosmic colossus. A beacon of defiance against alien tyranny. The future was uncertain, the path perilous, but one truth remained unshaken. He would fight, he would endure, and he would conquer. Kalen's grip tightened on the glowing shard, embedded deep within the living flesh of the Colossus. The alien armada had just been vanquished, their sleek warships reduced to drifting wreckage, swallowed by the Titan's immense organic hull. Yet, the battle's echoes still reverberated through the cavernous innards. A tempest of shaking walls and crackling energy. He steadied his breath, sweat mingling with the alien mucus that clung to his skin, and allowed himself a moment to absorb the staggering reality. The fusion was complete. The shard had not just opened a door, it had forged a bond. Merging his will with the vast cosmic fleet hidden within the Colossus. He was no longer prey, he was a cosmic warlord. For a heartbeat he closed his eyes, feeling the surge of power radiate through his veins. Command pulsed like a living thing beneath his skin, a network of ships and weapons at his beck and call. The fleet, ancient and mysterious, stretched beyond comprehension, thousands of vessels. From sleek fighters to colossal dreadnoughts, their designs both alien and breathtakingly elegant. They waited silently, poised in the vastness of space, ready to obey his command. A shiver of awe coursed through him, but it was quickly tempered by a heavier weight pressing on his chest. Power, it was intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. Kalen's thoughts spiraled inward, the shards of his fading humanity splintering under the colossal burden. The man who had entered the Colossus was already a ghost, a relic of a past life where laughter, touch, and warmth had been real. Now he was something else entirely, a guardian forged from cosmic fire and shadowed loneliness. He muttered to himself, voice thick with exhaustion and resolve, This is no gift. It's a cage, and a weapon." His fingers brushed over the pulsating interior wall, feeling the Colossus's heartbeat sync with his own. The fusion had tethered his mind to the living Titan, a bond that was both symbiotic and suffocating. He sensed the fleet's readiness, their waiting gaze cast across the stars, but he also felt the isolation. The silence that came when command is absolute, yet companionship is lost. He whispered, "I'm not the man I was. Maybe I'm not even fully human anymore." A flicker of doubt gnawed at him. The loneliness of command was a crushing void, deeper than any black hole. The faces of Reyes, Leela, and Jax haunted the edges of his mind, his lost family. Their memories bittersweet and sharp as shattered glass. Kalen's voice cracked as he spoke aloud. "They believed in me. I have to make this count, not just for me, for them. For humanity." He straightened, eyes hardening with newfound purpose. "This power, it's not just for revenge, not just survival. It's a shield, a promise. I will protect what remains of humanity from the horrors lurking in the void." His gaze lifted toward the vast viewport embedded in the Colossus's wall. Through the shimmering organic membrane, distant stars twinkled, silent witnesses to his transformation. The cosmic fleet stirred, responding to his will, a living legion poised to defend or destroy. Kalen took a deep breath, the weight of cosmic dominion settling over him like an ancient mantle. "I am the master now, not just of this Colossus but of the fate of worlds." His mind reached out, feeling the pulse of the fleet, the thrumming engines of starships hidden within the Colossus's massive frame. Each vessel was a thread in a grand tapestry of power, and he was the weaver. But even as he exerted control, a quiet voice whispered from deep within his consciousness, a fragment of the man he once was. Remember who you are, Kalen. Remember what you fight for. The voice was fragile yet persistent. He closed his eyes, and a flood of memories washed over him. Smiles shared with his crew, the warmth of camaraderie, the hope that had driven him into the abyss. The cost of this power was steep, with each command he issued. With each pulse of energy he channeled through the Colossus, a piece of his humanity slipped further away. Am I still human? He wondered aloud, voice raw. But then, with a fierce resolve burning in his chest, he answered, I am human because I choose to be, because I fight, because I protect. The Colossus rumbled softly, as if acknowledging his declaration. The flesh of the Titan pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat, a symphony of power and life intertwined. Kalen's hands moved with deliberate grace, weaving commands through the organic control interface. Energy tendrils snaked through the Colossus's system, activating defensive shields, raising fleets from stasis, and deploying reconnaissance probes into the void. His mind became a conduit, not just a commander but a guardian, an indomitable spirit forged in adversity. Standing sentinel over humanity's fragile future, he spoke aloud, a vow carried across the silent halls of the Colossus. Let this be a new beginning. No longer will humanity cower in the shadows of alien empires. I am the shield, the sword, the last line of defense. Outside, through the thick membrane, the stars seemed to pulse in response, a cosmic rhythm matching the Titan's heartbeat and his own unyielding will. Yet beneath the surface of victory, the shadows of solitude deepened. The transformation had created a chasm between Kalen and the world he once knew. The connection to the cosmic fleet was undeniable, but it was also a prison of endless command. No one could share this burden with him. No one could understand the price of wielding such power. He sank to one knee, voice barely a whisper. This power is a gift and a curse, a lonely throne in a cold universe. A faint glow emanated from the shard in his palm, illuminating the lines of fatigue and determination etched into his face. Kalen looked up, eyes sharp with unyielding resolve. I will not let loneliness break me, he vowed. I will carry this burden because no one else can. Because I must. The Colossus's vast organic heart pulsed faster, responding to the surge of will from its new master. The cosmic fleet stirred, engines humming a deep, resonant call across the void. Kalen rose, steady now, the weight of cosmic dominion settling fully upon his shoulders. He was no longer just a man. He was a legend in the making. A guardian forged from the ruins of loss and the fires of resilience. He whispered to himself, let the universe come, I am ready. The vastness of space beyond the Colossus stretched endlessly, a canvas of stars and shadow. Kalen's gaze pierced the darkness, a solitary figure commanding an unimaginable power. In the silence, a final thought echoed within him, a question without answer, a reminder of the price paid for conquest. What remains of the man inside the warlord? But Kalen embraced the uncertainty, the loneliness, and the power. For he was the master of the planet-swallowing Colossus, commander of a cosmic fleet, a beacon of human resilience and indomitable spirit amid the cold expanse. And though transformed and isolated, he had become a guardian, a sentinel against the darkness that threatened to devour all. His destiny was written in the stars, and he would face it, unyielding forevermore.